I once crossed paths with a guy named Matt during a summer night out with friends at a bar. We hit it off instantly, bonding over a Cubs game on TV. As we talked, my group faded into the crowd, and Matt never really mingled with them. We exchanged Instagrams. His account showed a typical adventurous 20, something who traveled and worked out, totally normal on the surface. After getting his info, I went to find my group. Honestly, when two guys hit it off at a bar, you usually never talk again. You say you'll hit each other up, but the next morning, sober and disinterested, you just don't. But the next day, a Saturday, I was at a waterfront bar for my friend Tyler's birthday. I posted a story on Instagram as we all sang happy birthday. An hour later, while hanging outside after dinner, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned, it was Matt. He grinned, dabbed me up, and said this was his favorite Saturday night spot. I introduced him to my friends again. "You guys remember Matt," I said casually. Even if they hadn't talked to him before, they recognized him from the night before. Matt lingered for a while. Everyone, including him, was drunk, so it didn't seem weird. The night passed without incident. Next time I saw Matt, he invited me golfing. I suck at it, but I've always wanted to get better. So when he asked me to go early on a Sunday morning, I went. None of my friends were up for it. They were hungover and said it was too early. It was just Matt and me. We played 9 holes over a couple hours, grabbed food after, and I went home, harmless. Then came the third time. He invited me on a hiking trip to Arizona. Just us. I'd always wanted to visit the Grand Canyon, so I checked with work and confirmed I could go. I asked Tyler and a few others to join, but they all declined. Money, time, excuses. When I asked Matt if any of his friends were going, he said no. Just him. I realized I'd never met any of his friends. Still, his Instagram made him look popular, so I didn't question it. We flew out mid-August. Matt rented a car. We stopped for food and booze before reaching the Airbnb late at night. We had some beers, and I could tell he wanted to stay up, but I was wiped. That's when I noticed something off. There was only one bed. I had never thought to ask. I mentioned it, and he pointed at the couch. "It's a pull-out. Relax. I'm not charging you for the place. A free stay in Arizona." Fine, I pulled out the sofa bed, made it up, and actually slept well. But deep in the night, I woke to the sound of Matt walking to the kitchen. I'm a light sleeper. The tiniest noise jolts me awake. I rolled over and went back to sleep. Next morning, he woke me early. We headed to the Grand Canyon. The scale of it stunned me. So many trails, so massive. We hiked the Bright Angel. I was struggling, sweating and panting, while Matt laughed, telling me to keep up. We stopped for photos, tons of them. Eventually we hiked back. Starving, we found a deli on the drive back. It was long, winding, and quiet. Back in Phoenix, we napped, explored, and, as expected, drank again. Matt liked his alcohol a lot. We got trashed. I was probably more gone than him, which confused me because he drank just as much. We left the car on the street and Ubered to the Airbnb. Time blurred. I only recall loud music playing and me plugging in my phone by the couch. I passed out. Hours later, I woke up, mouth bone, dry, bladder full. As I stumbled toward the bathroom, I heard a sharp creak. A floorboard under pressure. I scanned the dark room, nothing. Midstream, I heard a soft door click shut. Matt's room. When I finished, I tried his door, locked. I knocked, no response. Whatever. I returned to the couch and fell asleep. At 8 a.m., I woke with a pounding head. And a weird detail, my phone. It had been charging on the floor next to the couch, but now it sat unplugged on the table. Why did I move it while drunk? Probably. That day, we didn't hike. I would have thrown up. We Ubered to the car, then explored Phoenix, the botanical gardens, some quiet neighborhoods. I didn't want to drink, but Matt pushed, and again I got blackout drunk. That night we got back late. Matt insisted I sleep in the bed this time. Fair's fair. He said. I didn't argue. I brought my bag to his room, said goodnight, shut the door. I didn't lock it. The door had one of those cheap locks anyone could open with a butter knife. I didn't think I had to worry. I wish I could say we went home in peace the next day. I woke up sometime after falling asleep. A noise woke me, but I didn't catch it fully. You know when your brain hears something, but you're not conscious enough to register it. That, I looked around for my phone, gone. The cord dangled from the outlet. The phone that had been beside me in bed had vanished. I looked under one side, nothing. The other I screamed. Matt was lying face down on the floor next to the bed. Sprawled out, he jolted awake, looking confused. What are you doing? I yelled. He said he must have blacked out and stumbled in by accident. Said he meant to go to bed, remembered I was in it, and passed out on the floor instead. But he wasn't near the door. He was on the far side of the bed. I accused him of taking my phone. He played dumb. Said maybe it fell under the bed. Got down, looked under, and instantly said, "Bro, here it is." He pulled it out. Just like that, I stared at him. The man I'd been drinking with, traveling with. He looked different now. Who was he? I told him I'd take the couch. He insisted he would. Eventually, he left. You better believe I locked that door. Without the phone incident, I might have chalked it up to drunken stupidity. But the phone, he took it. Still tipsy, I managed to fall asleep again. But it didn't end there. I woke up one final time. This time I knew why. At the foot of the bed stood Matt. His silhouette barely visible. I didn't scream. I should have, but I froze. He sat down, reached over, and began rubbing my foot. That's when I yelled, "Get out!" He didn't move. I shoved him off the bed, pushed him toward the door, slammed it behind him. I started throwing my clothes into my bag. Shaking, I packed everything in a rush. Matt said nothing. He sat upright on the couch, blank-faced, watching me, like a horror movie character, like an NPC robotic. It was the most disturbing part. I ordered an Uber. I wasn't staying another second. He didn't stop me. The sun was just rising when I reached the airport. I tried to sleep but couldn't. My mind was spiraling. I sat there until boarding. I even paid $35 to switch seats so I wouldn't be next to him. I avoided his eyes, stared out the window, trying to pretend none of it happened. I didn't tell anyone until later that day. I needed time to think, to process. When I finally did, some of my friends said, "Told you he was weird." They pointed out something I hadn't. Both times we randomly ran into him, he was alone. Then it hit me. He saw my Instagram story the night he appeared at that outdoor bar. That's how he found me. He had followed me there. Stalker behavior. I blocked his number and his Instagram. But before I did, I checked one of his older posts. He was with a group of guys, none of whom were tagged. I looked at the comments, found one from a guy who looked like he was in the photo. Matt wasn't following him. The guy wasn't following Matt either. I messaged him, still friends with Matt. 10 minutes later, he replied, "Nah, guy's a freak, run away." He told me his own story, and stories from others. Guys who had to cut Matt off. He even untagged himself from that photo. Said he couldn't make Matt take it down though. When I told him what happened in Arizona, he wasn't surprised. Not even a little. His exact words were, "That guy should be in jail." And just like that, I realized the truth. Matt wasn't some chill, extroverted dude looking for a bro. He was something darker, something dangerous, and I still don't know what he was trying to access on my phone. It happened one sweltering summer, deep in July's grip. I was home from college for a few fleeting weeks, desperate for some peace before another academic storm. My name is Kyle, and I live in Maryland. I've been talking with my two best friends, Jason and Marcus, about reuniting just like old times. We'd grown distant, now at separate schools, and this rare gap felt sacred. We planned a weekend trip to Ocean City. Jason's family owned an aging beach house they rarely used, and we got the green light to crash there. It wasn't luxurious, just a faded two-bedroom shack a few blocks from the ocean. But it was all we needed. Time to unwind, drink too much, and pretend life was simple again. We drove down in the late afternoon. The air clung to us like wet cloth, thick with salt and sunscreen. As we rolled into town, that familiar blend of sea and sweat hit us like a childhood memory soaked in heat. We wandered the boardwalk, joked around in arcades, and lost hours watching strangers. The beach swarmed with families, their laughter clashing with lifeguards' shouts as the tide crept in. Later, we headed back to the house, grilled burgers, downed beers, and played drinking games until our heads spun. By the time the bottles ran dry and the buzz wore thin, Marcus tossed out an idea. Why not go to the beach? At night, the ocean has a different kind of pull. It's darker, quieter, almost sacred in its emptiness. We threw on hoodies, grabbed our phones, and an old flashlight Jason found in the kitchen. No plans to swim, just a walk along the shore, just us and the sea. We slipped down a side street, stepped onto the weathered boardwalk, and descended onto the dark, damp sand. As expected, we were alone. The waves murmured steadily, and the only light came from dim street lamps far behind us, the moon obscured behind thick clouds. You could barely make out where the ocean ended and the land began. We walked, letting the icy water kiss our ankles. We laughed, shared dumb stories, and let the silence between us stretch comfortably. Eventually, we collapsed near a lifeguard tower, one of those skeletal wooden structures they dismantle at night. The sand felt cool beneath us. The sky was smeared in shadows. Then Jason sat up. "Is that someone walking over there?" he asked, voice low. We followed his gaze. At first, it looked like a smear of shadow near the shoreline. Then, yes, a shape, a figure. It walked slowly, half, lurking along the water's edge, maybe 50 yards away. At first, we assumed it was another night walker. A local, no big deal, but something wasn't right. The figure didn't move like someone taking a midnight stroll. It staggered as if controlled by strings, unnatural, twitchy. Its limbs hung stiffly, barely swinging, and its posture was wrong. Hunched crooked, its head tilted toward the ground like it was examining something, scanning. We fell silent. A weight settled over us. I whispered, "What is he doing?" Marcus mumbled something about him maybe looking for lost keys. Jason laughed nervously, saying maybe it was a drunk tourist. We tried to laugh it off, but I couldn't stop watching. Minutes passed. The figure stopped walking, just stood there completely motionless. And closer now, maybe 30 yards away, I could feel something shift, like static in the air. We didn't speak. We didn't shine the flashlight, but our silence grew heavier. Marcus broke it first, voice tense. "He's just standing there. Who stands like that?" Jason looked harder, then whispered, "He's not just standing. He's watching you, Kyle." I froze, tried to laugh. "No, he's looking at the ground." Jason didn't blink. "Look at his head, tilted toward you." Then, without warning, Jason raised the flashlight. I didn't want him to do it, but he flicked it off and aimed. The beam hit the figure for a single second before dying with a flicker. But that second changed everything. I saw him. He wasn't just pale. He was corpse, pale, drained of life. His bare chest glistened, wet from the ocean. He wore heavy, soaked jeans that sagged with weight. His arms dangled, lifeless. His neck was bent, not broken, just wrong. And his eyes, God, his eyes, wide open, bulging like they'd never blink. The moment the light touched him, he moved fast. He didn't hesitate. One moment he was still. The next, he launched forward, sprinting directly at us with an inhuman speed. No build-up, no stumble, just stillness to chaos. All three of us screamed. We ran. We didn't look back. We didn't need to. You could feel him behind us. The sand sucked at our feet as we bolted toward the boardwalk, lungs burning, hearts hammering. Marcus shouted, "Go!" again and again as the pounding of feet mixed with crashing waves and some dreadful noise I still can't name. We didn't stop running until we hit the street. Only then did we turn. He was gone. The beach was empty. No footprints, just the ocean's whisper. We stood there, shaking, sweat freezing on our skin. None of us spoke on the walk back to the house. When we got inside, we locked everything. Doors, windows, blinds. We didn't sleep, just sat in silence, waiting for a knock, for a pale face at the glass. It never came. The next morning, we pretended to laugh, said it must have been a drug, doubt homeless guy playing games. But none of us believed it. The way he moved, the silence, the speed, the lack of footprints. It didn't make sense. We stayed one last night, but we didn't leave the house, and we left early, long before sunrise, before the town even woke. In the following weeks, we tried to forget, but then Jason messaged me. He said the dreams had started, always the same. He'd wake to find the figure, soaking wet, standing in the corner of his room, silent, watching, head tilted, not moving, just there. I told him that was messed up, but I didn't tell him I was having the same dream, same man, same eyes, same silence. Sometimes I wake up thinking I hear the soft slap of wet feet on hardwood. But when I check, nothing, just darkness and the sound of my own breathing. Then last week, I saw something. I was scrolling through a local Ocean City Facebook group when a photo caught my eye. Someone posted about a creepy guy they saw standing by the water in the middle of the night. The picture was grainy, low light, but I recognized him instantly. That posture, that stillness, same figure, same pale, wet skin. The comments chilled me worse. Dozens of people claimed to have seen him too. Some said he stayed for hours. One said they saw him walk into the ocean and never return. Another said they found wet footprints on their back porch, 2 streets from the beach, no prints leading to or from them. I don't know what we saw that night, but I know this. I'm never going back to that beach again. Not after dark. Not ever.